Great. I will move with you again, Michael. What are current blockers to unlock the full potential, deriving value from Earth observations, and how to overcome them?
This is a great follow-up to my previous statement. Number one blocker is enough Earth observation sensor data. With more and more Earth observation satellites being launched, there's more variation, there's more choice, means the price goes down. Next to the technical capacities, the imagery will become more high resolution. It's not just electro-optical, it's not just SAR. There will be hydro maps, RF signal maps, whatever we can measure from space. So now we have the input data, and now it's about commercializing and leveraging on this input data. And then the more mature the tools are, the more mature AI models become to understand those very hard to read signals and patterns, the more insights you can derive from them.
Abdullah?
I think the more frequent images we get is the more data we can feed our models. And one interesting finding from the research that all these AI and deep learning models, it's not plug and play. Whatever worked in China is not going to work in Saudi Arabia. So there is a little work on what I call model localization, and it's really dependent on the country, dependent on the season, and dependent on the satellite technology. So that's still a work in progress. Where do we really have a generalized AI model that can be applicable to everywhere? And I also think there is a lot of work to be done, subsurface into multispectral data. We don't have enough multispectral data today. The resolution is getting finer and finer. The application, whether it's mining, water, and other spatial information we're getting, this is where more work to be done and more utilization and more informative decision will be built on top of that. So this is where I think technology is going.
Sam?
I think we've seen some huge advances in Earth observation, but for me, there's always a balance between the data, sort of the tech push, and the user need, and in the middle, the sort of translation from the data into useful insights. And I think what we've seen with the onset of AI and small satellites is lots more data, some magic that can analyze it, and we've started to produce some really useful insights, and we've started to build the demand side as well. But I actually think you always need to advance both demand and supply, and real magic happens when the art of the possible meets urgent need. And I think for me, actually, we should be pushing more on the technology again now. So again, you can deliver all sorts of magic with the current satellites that are up there and some AI, but actually the data is a little bit sporadic still. It's not quite of the right quality in certain places. So the more we can move towards continuous continental scale monitoring with a consistency of data that means the AI can really work its magic, then we're going to be able to kick on and see the next era in Earth observation. And it's going to be such a critical area in terms of planetary management and making sure we really look after our planet in the 21st century.
Great, thank you. I will continue with you with the next question. We're in one of the greatest platform, I would say, in technology and entrepreneurial event. What is ideal ecosystem, and what market is considering emerging, and what market can be considered mature? So an ideal ecosystem for someone who wants to get into the field or into the sector itself of the space technology from entrepreneurial mindset, what would be the ideal ecosystem around it? I would say, in a fintech, you'll need a sandbox, and then once you meet the criteria, you have the regulator to approve you, and then you can take off.
I mean, for any sort of entrepreneurial ecosystem, there's a number of factors that you need. So you need the demand side. That's really key. So anything that can be done to stimulate demand, any measures around that are really fundamental. You need finance, which is both the early stage and then right the way through seamlessly through to scaling businesses that can be successful in Saudi and then globally. You need the sort of skills and human factors, so making sure you've got the real skills, both for people coming through and that's both technical and business. I think business skills tend to be limited in the space sector, so building that's really, really important. And then infrastructure. So, for each, space covers all sorts of sectors. And so making sure that infrastructure in space and on the ground is there, that means the startups can take their, the data, whatever the fuel is that fuels their startups, work with those end users, work with the demand side, and really deliver some magic. But I think, looking at the way things have evolved globally, people really get how to build an ecosystem now. And I'm hugely excited by what we're seeing here over the course of LEAP, and I think there's all sorts of great things going to come from it.
Great, thank you. Abdullah?
Echoing Sam here, he really pointed really important points, and seeing the ecosystem here in Saudi, the collaboration between the government, the regulatory, the research lab, and also universities, and also seeing companies coming to play into this sector. But what I think most importantly is the funding, and we specifically for our company, we're lucky tomorrow we have some good announcements. Some of the deep tech funding will be announced. A few companies to benefit from, and luckily we're one of them. So I think it's a push from the R&D, it's a push from the regulatory, from the government sector, and all together working collaboratively to produce something meaningful. Having the demand in the market is really important. So I think I really agree with Sam here. Make it easier for me.
Thank you. Michael?
From my point, it's two drivers to generate an ecosystem. One is the less national interests, the better, which opens a free market. And the second one is like a clear legal framework, like space law. It sounds futuristic, but it's a thing. There's a Wild West in space. When satellites are on a collision course, right now nations need to talk with each other to find out what they do. There's no framework yet. Coming to remote sensing and Earth observation, it's privacy sooner or later will be an issue. The better the resolution is, because we will be monitored all the time from space. Similar like social media, privacy, same issues we have on Earth, we will have from space. So if less national interests and a clear legal framework, I think then any economy can flourish. There's a demand-driven economy, investment will come if there's an outlook. So